Have you ever stood over the bathtub, holding a towel, wondering if you're doing the right thing for your aging parent? Maybe you found yourself asking, should I help mom bathe every single day? Or is every other day enough? Am I neglecting something important, or am I overdoing it? Here's the thing, we all want to do what's best. We want to keep our elderly loved ones clean, safe, and feeling good in their own skin. But what if I told you that the answer to how often seniors should bathe after 70 isn't as simple, or as obvious, as most people think? In fact, some of what we think we're doing right might actually be doing more harm than good. It might feel like a small thing, a shower, a sponge bath, a quick rinse. But when someone hits their 70s and beyond, even the act of bathing becomes a whole new world. It's no longer just about soap and water. It's about dignity, safety, and even survival. You see, this isn't just a conversation about hygiene. It's about skin that tears like paper, joints that ache with every step, and a silent fear of falling that no one talks about. It's about preserving the independence of someone you love, while gently stepping in where they need you most. And if you've ever had a stubborn parent who resists bathing altogether, or a grandparent who's suddenly slipping in the bathroom, you know, this matters a lot. So today, we're going to break the silence. By the end of this video, you'll discover 7 surprising facts about bathing after age 70, truths that could completely change how you care for the elders in your life. And maybe even how you think about aging yourself. Because whether you're a caregiver, a son or daughter, or just someone who loves deeply, the way we support our elders in their final chapters says everything about who we are. But before we dive in, let's pause for just a second. Comment, "I'm here," if you're someone who truly wants to give the best care possible to the seniors you love. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button for more real, compassionate guidance from elder mature moments. This channel is here to help you navigate the hardest parts of growing old, with grace, with wisdom, and most importantly, with love. Let's get into it. Let me tell you a story. Mrs. Thompson, 78 years old. Sharp mind, sweet smile, and a routine she loved. Every morning, without fail, she'd wake up, shuffle to the bathroom, and start her day with a long, hot shower. She'd seen it on a health show, how bathing daily was essential for staying fresh and healthy. She wanted to do it right. Keep herself clean, neat, independent. It made her feel alive. But what started as a routine turned into a silent enemy. After just a few weeks, her skin began to change. Dry patches on her arms. Itchy legs. Cracks around her heels that stung with every step. And then, one morning, she looked down and noticed a patch of skin on her forearm, peeling like old paper. You see, what Mrs. Thompson didn't know, and what many of us don't realize, is that aging skin isn't like ours. As the years go by, the skin thins out. It loses its elasticity, its moisture, and most importantly, its natural protective barrier. Think of it like an old book, beautiful, yes, but delicate. The pages don't hold up to constant flipping. In the same way, elderly skin doesn't hold up to daily scrubbing, harsh soaps, or long, hot showers. What feels refreshing to us can be damaging to someone over 70. Because every time they bathe, they're washing away not just dirt, but essential oils that their skin desperately needs to stay supple and safe. And once that barrier breaks down, it opens the door to painful irritation, slow-healing wounds, and even dangerous infections. Here's the surprising truth: daily bathing is not a requirement for cleanliness after 70. In fact, it can do more harm than good. Most seniors don't sweat the way they used to. They're not out getting dirty, and their bodies aren't producing the same oils. That means they don't need to shower as often, and shouldn't. 2 to 3 baths a week is often enough. On the days in between, a warm washcloth, some gentle cleansing around key areas, the underarms, groin, feet, and face, goes a long way. What matters most isn't frequency. It's how we clean. Use mild, fragrance-free soap. Lukewarm water. Pat the skin dry, don't rub. And always follow up with a light moisturizer, especially on the arms, legs, and back. This small shift in routine could be the difference between comfort and chronic discomfort. Between healthy aging and slow, silent skin breakdown. But here's the thing, skin isn't the only thing that suffers when we overbathe. Sometimes, we're so focused on keeping clean, we forget that too much bathing can actually raise the risk of something far worse. Let's talk about that next. Let's talk about infections. Lisa was exhausted. Her mother, 84, bright and witty even on bad days, had just come home from her third urinary tract infection in 6 months. 3 hospital visits. 3 rounds of antibiotics. And with every infection, her mother seemed weaker. Less herself. Lisa couldn't understand it. She was doing everything right. She made sure her mom bathed every single day, sometimes even twice, if there'd been an accident. She kept the house clean. Changed the sheets often. She believed, like most of us do, that cleanliness equals safety. So imagine her confusion when the doctor sat her down and said gently, "Lisa, I think your mom might be bathing too much." Too much? How could that be? It sounds backward, doesn't it? More baths, leading to more infections? But it's true. And for many seniors, it's happening quietly, behind the scenes, while their families try their best to do what feels right. Here's what we often miss: when the skin gets stripped of its natural oils, its first line of defense breaks down. That protective barrier isn't just there to keep skin soft. It acts like a shield, guarding against bacteria, fungi, and irritants that wait for the tiniest opportunity to slip in. So when a senior is bathed too frequently, especially with strong soaps or hot water, the skin becomes vulnerable, raw, dry, and more likely to tear or crack. And that's where the trouble begins. Moist, irritated areas, like the groin, folds of the skin, and under the arms, become breeding grounds for bacteria. A little dryness becomes a rash. A small irritation turns into a portal for infection. A minor mistake in care leads to yet another trip to the hospital. We've been told our whole lives, stay clean, stay safe. And for most of us, that's true. But with aging skin and a slowed immune system, the rules change. Here's the better way: instead of full-body showers every single day, shift the focus. Zero in on the areas that actually need regular attention: underarms, groin, feet, the face. Use a soft, warm washcloth. Go gently. And for full showers or baths, 2 to 3 times a week is enough for most seniors. It protects the skin. It reduces risk. And it actually helps keep infections away, instead of opening the door for them. Because in elderly care, less can sometimes mean more. Less scrubbing. Less drying. More dignity. More protection. But let's go deeper, because for some seniors, it's not just about overbathing or drying out. The simple act of getting into the tub can be the most dangerous part of all. And in far too many homes, that one moment leads to a fall that changes everything. Let's talk about that next. Gerald was 81. He was the kind of man who prided himself on doing things his way. Always had. Always would. He'd say, "I don't need help, I've been bathing myself for 70 years. So when his daughter suggested a shower chair, he laughed it off. When she offered to come in and assist, he waved her away. Then one morning, after turning on the water and stepping in just like always, his foot slipped. Just 1 second. One simple misstep on a slick surface. That's all it took. He hit the floor hard, fracturing his hip. He spent weeks in the hospital. Then months in rehab. But something in Gerald changed after that. He walked slower. He talked less. He stopped arguing about needing help, because the fall had stolen something from him. His confidence. His independence. His ease. This is the part we don't like to talk about. Because it feels scary. It feels personal. But we have to talk about it. The bathroom is one of the most dangerous places in the home for a senior. Slick tile. Steam. Unstable footing. And bathing, something we think of as peaceful, can be an absolute hazard when your balance isn't what it used to be. According to countless health studies, falls are the #1 cause of injury among older adults. And most of them? They happen in the bathroom. During moments like bathing. When someone is standing on one leg, reaching for a towel, turning around, or trying to step over the tub. Now, many families think, we've got a grab bar. We're fine. And while grab bars help, they're not a complete solution. Because when a senior is tired, or dizzy, or weak from medication, that single metal bar might not be enough to stop a fall. So what's the answer? How do we make this ritual, something so personal, so necessary, safe again? It starts with a shift in how we think about bathing. If your loved one is unsteady, supervised bathing might be the best gift you can give. That doesn't mean hovering. It means offering help with dignity. A soft voice. A warm towel ready. A calm, steady presence. Install non-slip mats, not just inside the tub, but on the floor outside it. Use a shower chair, so they don't have to stand if they don't feel strong enough. Get a handheld shower sprayer to make rinsing easier and less awkward. And make sure the room is warm, because cold can make muscles stiffen and movements jerky. Simple changes. But powerful ones. The goal here isn't to make your parent feel helpless. It's to help them feel safe. To keep them from that one fall that might take away their freedom. But here's something else you might not see coming. For many seniors, it's not just the physical risk that makes bathing so hard. It's the quiet fear, the shame, the discomfort that comes with needing help. And that emotional weight? That can stop them from bathing at all. Let's talk about that next. Ellen noticed the change slowly. At first, her dad would just say, "I'm not in the mood to shower today." Then it became, "Maybe tomorrow." Then days turned into a week, and she started to smell a difference. She asked him directly, "Dad, why don't you want to bathe anymore?" He snapped back, "I don't need one. Leave me alone." She thought he was just being stubborn. Set in his ways. Old and cranky. But something didn't sit right. He wasn't always like this. He used to be the man who shaved every morning before anyone else was even up. Who ironed his shirts and combed his hair with pride. So Ellen pushed for a doctor's visit. And what they found? Early signs of dementia. It turns out, he wasn't just being difficult. He was confused. The shower knob suddenly seemed unfamiliar. He didn't remember which towel was his. The sound of the running water startled him. And the idea of stepping into a slippery, echoing box, terrified him. Here's what you need to know, bathing resistance in seniors isn't always about stubbornness. Sometimes, it's fear. Sometimes, it's confusion. Sometimes, it's the creeping fog of memory loss that makes a once familiar routine feel overwhelming and strange. For many older adults, especially those in the early stages of cognitive decline, bathing becomes a deeply vulnerable experience. They may not remember why they need to bathe. They may feel ashamed of needing help. Or they may be too embarrassed to say they're afraid. And this is where so many families get frustrated, because it looks like defiance. It feels like resistance. But underneath, it's really a cry for safety. For understanding. So what can you do? First, don't force it. Pushing only creates fear. And fear creates distance. Instead, approach it with gentleness and patience. Keep the environment warm, no cold air, no harsh lights. Make it private. Dignity is everything. Use calm, reassuring words. Explain each step before you do it. And if possible, let them keep some control. Maybe they choose the towel. Or the soap. Or the time of day. And here's a little trick that often works wonders: turn it into a comforting ritual. A soft towel fresh from the dryer. Their favorite music playing low in the background. Speak in the rhythm of reassurance: you're safe. I'm right here. Let's just get you nice and comfortable. Because in that moment, it's not about soap or shampoo. It's about trust. It's about feeling safe when everything else feels uncertain. It's about meeting them in their world, and gently guiding them through it. But here's something else that might surprise you: we often assume that if someone doesn't smell, they must be clean. But that's not always true. What if I told you that scent isn't the best way to measure hygiene in seniors? Let's explore that next. There's a story that stuck with me. A caregiver once shared that her elderly client, an 86-year-old woman living quietly in her own home, went 10 full days without a bath. And no one noticed. No complaints from visitors. No strange looks from the neighbors. Not even the woman's own daughter, who visited every other day, suspected a thing. And when the caregiver finally asked, gently, "When was your last bath?" the woman shrugged and said, "Oh, I don't remember. But I feel just fine." Now here's the surprising part: she didn't smell. Not even a little. And that's where we need to pause. Because we've been taught since we were kids that body odor equals dirtiness. That smell is the warning sign. The indicator that something needs to be cleaned. But in older adults, that rule doesn't always apply. As we age, our bodies change. And one of the most subtle, but important, changes is that sweat glands slow down. The body doesn't produce sweat like it used to. Oil production drops. Hormonal shifts reduce scent. That means an older adult can go days without bathing and not develop any noticeable odor. To the nose, they may seem perfectly clean. But under the surface, the skin may be drying out, flaking, or harboring bacteria in areas that don't get regular attention. Here's the mistake many families make: they wait until something smells off before encouraging a bath. But by the time odor appears, skin may already be irritated, bacteria may have had time to grow, and infections might be just around the corner. So what do we do instead? We stop relying on smell. We start relying on routine. A routine that's not built on rigid rules or old habits. But one that's centered on skin health, comfort, and dignity. Ask yourself, is your loved one sweating much? Are there skin conditions to monitor? Do they feel better, more refreshed, when they bathe on certain days? For most seniors, bathing 2 to 3 times a week, paired with daily gentle cleaning of key areas, is not just enough. It's ideal. Because you're not just managing hygiene. You're protecting their skin. You're preserving their comfort. You're giving them the rhythm of care without the overwhelm of overdoing it. But we're not done yet. Because there's another twist in this conversation. Another reason why bathing too often, especially for older adults with health issues, might be doing more harm than good. Let's talk about how bathing can quietly aggravate conditions that already make life hard enough. We're heading there next. Let me tell you about James. He's 79. Lives with arthritis in his knees and shoulders. Still sharp, still active in the mornings, still enjoys his daily crossword puzzle with a hot cup of tea. His daughter, wanting to keep him on a healthy routine, encouraged him to shower every morning. At first, he agreed. It felt good to feel clean, refreshed, like he was starting the day right. But after a week or two, James started moving slower. complained about stiffness, groaning more with every step. His daughter assumed it was just the arthritis progressing. But one morning, after a particularly cold winter shower, even with warm water running, James couldn't lift himself out of the tub without help. His joints had locked up from the cold shock the rest of his body hadn't even registered. Here's what was really happening: the daily bath that was supposed to help was making things worse. You see, when a senior has arthritis, or chronic pain, or even respiratory issues like COPD or asthma, bathing isn't always the comfort we think it is. Sometimes, the act of bathing itself, standing too long, sitting in awkward positions, dealing with sudden temperature shifts, can aggravate their condition. It can cause muscles to tense, joints to seize, breathing to tighten. And it's not just arthritis. High blood pressure can spike from the effort of standing, reaching, bending. Asthma and COPD can flare up in a hot, steamy bathroom with poor ventilation. Chronic fatigue can make bathing feel like running a marathon. Now, most people assume a warm bath is always relaxing. But for some seniors, especially those with ongoing health challenges, even a warm bath can be exhausting or harmful, if not managed properly. So what's the better way? Start with this: shorten bath time. There's no need for long, drawn-out routines. 10 minutes may be plenty. Warm the room first. Use a small space heater, safely, of course, or run warm water early to take the chill out of the air. A warm environment helps muscles stay relaxed and reduces the shock to the system. Plan around their energy levels. Every senior has their strong time of day. For some, it's mid-morning after breakfast. For others, it's afternoon. Avoid early mornings or late evenings if that's when energy dips or pain increases. And don't hesitate to simplify the process. You can alternate between full baths and light sponge baths. Use gentle tools that require less stretching or movement. Let them sit while washing. Use handheld sprayers instead of overhead ones. You're not doing less, you're doing smarter. Because in elderly care, comfort and function always trump tradition. It's not about forcing old routines. It's about creating new ones that fit the person your loved one is now. And this leads us to one last insight. One that might surprise you more than all the others. Because after all the worry about safety, skin, and health, we forget to ask the most basic question of all. What if our loved ones simply don't want to bathe that often anymore? Let's talk about that next. There's a quote that stuck with me. It came from an 83-year-old man during a routine care visit. His daughter had been gently nudging him toward the bathroom all morning, trying to convince him to take a shower. And after all her reminders, her offers, her reassurances, he simply said, "I don't feel dirty, so why would I need a bath today?" And he meant it. He wasn't being difficult. He wasn't being lazy. He genuinely didn't feel like he needed to be cleaned. And here's why that matters. As we age, our senses begin to fade, quietly, gradually. The sense of touch becomes duller. The feeling of sticky skin, sweaty arms, that grime we'd normally notice after a long day, it just doesn't register the same way. The sense of smell fades too. So even if they haven't bathed in a while, they may not notice body odor, musty clothes, or even skin issues starting to form. To them, they feel normal. They feel fine. And this disconnect, between what we see and what they feel, can lead to a lot of confusion and frustration. Because to us, a bath is refreshing. It wakes us up. It makes us feel good. But for many seniors, especially those living with duller senses or slower routines, the emotional and physical energy it takes to bathe may not feel worth it. And this is where the misconception sets in. We assume that after a bath, they'll thank us. We expect that same feeling of relief, that sense of, "Ah, that's better." But they may not feel it at all. In fact, for some, bathing can feel like an invasion, a task someone else is forcing on them. It may bring discomfort, embarrassment, or even resentment. Not because they don't appreciate the help, but because they no longer feel in control. So what's the approach that works? Dignity, dialogue, and choice. Instead of saying, "It's time for your bath," try asking, "Would you feel more comfortable if we freshen up this afternoon or after dinner?" Instead of focusing on obligation, "You need to bathe today," focus on comfort. "Let's get you feeling refreshed, just a little sponge off, and we'll be done in no time." Give them options. Let them choose the towel, the soap scent, the time. Even small choices restore a sense of independence that means everything to someone whose world is slowly shrinking. Because what seniors crave most isn't routine. It's respect. It's feeling like their voice still matters. Like their body is still theirs. And when we build our care around that, everything changes. Which brings us to the question we started with: how often should seniors really bathe after 70? Well, it depends, doesn't it? It depends on their skin, their health, their mobility, their mental state, their comfort, and yes, their preference. There's no one-size-fits-all answer. And that's okay. Because the goal isn't to check off a box. The goal is to preserve dignity, protect health, and show love in the most practical, personal way possible. Let's talk about that, right now, as we bring everything together. Watching someone you love grow older. It's not easy. It's seeing the hands that once held yours become shaky. It's hearing the voice that once comforted you turn quiet, unsure, sometimes afraid. And the hardest part? It's the little things. The once simple routines. The things you never thought would become a challenge, like bathing. What used to be part of everyday life slowly turns into a moment of resistance. A quiet battle behind a closed door. A source of tension between you and the person you love most. You might feel helpless, frustrated, even guilty. You want to keep them clean, keep them healthy. But sometimes, it feels like you're pushing against a wall, and that wall is someone you'd do anything for. But now you know what's really going on. Now, instead of seeing resistance, you can see fear. Instead of feeling guilt, you can feel compassion. Instead of forcing routines, you can offer choices. This isn't just about cleanliness anymore. It's about connection. It's about keeping your loved one comfortable, not just physically, but emotionally. You're not just helping them bathe. You're helping them hold on to their dignity. You're preserving their voice, their comfort, their independence, even in the smallest of ways. So here's what I want you to do. Talk to them. Not just at them. With them. Ask, do you feel okay with how often you're bathing? Is there something that makes you uncomfortable about it? Can we work together to make this easier, softer, better? Make it a conversation, not a command. A partnership, not a protocol. You don't have to do it perfectly. There's no perfect script. But the fact that you care enough to ask, that's everything. And if you're sitting there right now, wondering if you're doing enough, let me say this as clearly as I can, you are. You showed up. You watched this video to the end. You're learning. You're trying. You're loving. That love? That presence? That willingness to understand? It matters more than you'll ever know. You're doing better than you think. And your effort, your heart, is making a difference. Because in the end, elderly care isn't just about routines. It's about love in action. And that's exactly what you're giving. Now, let's bring it all together, so you leave this video not only informed, but empowered. So today, we revealed 7 surprising truths about bathing and the elderly, from how fragile skin can be and how overbathing may cause harm, to the very real risks of falls and the emotional challenges that come with simple routines. We uncovered how perception of cleanliness changes with age and why less can sometimes mean more when it comes to bathing. We've walked through how important it is to meet your loved one where they are, with respect, dignity, and compassion. And how simple conversations can make a world of difference in their comfort and care. Now, I want to hear from you. How often do you think seniors should bathe? What's been your experience with a loved one who may resist or have trouble with this routine? Comment below. I truly want to hear from you, share your thoughts, and learn from your experiences. Every story is valuable, and this is a space for us to connect and support each other. If this video opened your eyes, gave you new insights, or made you think about something in a new way, please give it a like. It helps others find this information, and it means a lot to me. And don't forget to subscribe to Elder Mature Moments for more heartfelt, practical insights on elderly care, because the more we know, the better we can care. Together, we can make this journey through aging a little bit easier for all of us. Thank you for caring. Thank you for showing up, today, and every day. Stay kind. Stay informed. And I'll see you in the next video.